I was finally unwinding on the pristine white sandy beaches of Maui, savoring a chilled drink beneath a swaying palm tree. This long-awaited vacation had been in the works for months, my first true respite since relocating to Sunnyside Estates just 3 months earlier. The exhausting move, non-stop renovations, and constant clashes with the neighborhood's notorious HOA president had left me utterly depleted. But here, over 5,000 miles from home, I'd at last relaxed deeply. That's when my phone vibrated with a message from my neighbor Tom. "Hey, man. Why are the police at your house again? This is like the 3rd time this week. Everything okay?" I almost choked on my drink. "Police at my vacant house?" I dialed Tom right away, my pulse pounding. "They're responding to multiple noise complaints," Tom said. "Music blaring at 2 o'clock a.m. shouting the whole deal. The entire neighborhood is buzzing about it. Karen's been spreading rumors that you're subletting to particuars while you're gone." Our blood pressure surged. Karen, of course. It was Karen, the self-proclaimed ruler of Sunnyside Estates, who had taken it upon herself to torment me from the day I arrived. But this was a new low in for her. "Tom, you know I'm in Hawaii. The house is empty," I replied, struggling to keep my tone calm. "Can you explain that to the officers?" I tried, man, but Karen showed up with her clipboard and insisted I was covering for you. She even brought some of her HOA allies to back her up, claiming they heard the noise too. My idyllic vacation was now completely shattered. Rather than hiking to waterfalls or snorkeling among sea turtles, I spent the next 3 days desperately phoning the local police department, the HOA board, and my home security provider. Somehow, Karen had persuaded everyone that I was the community's troublemaker, all while I was literally on another island chain. When I first moved into Sunnyside Estates, I was ecstatic. The community was stunning, with impeccably maintained lawns and picturesque houses. I'd saved diligently for years to buy a home here, and couldn't wait to transform my somewhat dated property into my ideal residence. That joy lasted precisely 3 days, until I encountered Karen. She materialized at my front door, gripping her HOA rulebook as if it were holy scripture. "Your grass is a 1/4 inch too high," she declared, without so much as a greeting. "And that shade of beige on your mailbox isn't on the approved palette." She peered at me over her designer sunglasses. "You must be from the city. We do things differently here in Sunnyside. There are standards to uphold." I attempted courtesy. "I'm James," I said, offering my hand. "And you are?" "Karen Wilkins, president of the Sunnyside Estates Homeowners Association," she answered with a self-satisfied smirk, disregarding my gesture. "I've been in charge here for 8 years. You'll discover that things run smoothly if you adhere to our guidelines." She thrust a 3-inch binder at me. "Every rule is detailed here. I recommend you commit it to memory." In the following months, Karen issued citations for every conceivable infraction. My trash cans were visible from the street for roughly 20 minutes on pickup day. My new energy-efficient windows didn't match the preferred style, despite being explicitly approved. I even got a warning for overly festive holiday displays after placing just 1 pumpkin on my porch in October. Other residents cautioned me that Karen had forced out 3 families in the previous year alone. She selects a victim and relentlessly pursues them. My neighbor Susan confided one afternoon, "Just try to stay off her radar," but I refused to be intimidated out of my hard-earned home. I complied with every sensible regulation, while courteously disputing her more absurd accusations. This only seemed to enrage her further. "Your city attitudes don't fit here," she snapped during one heated exchange. "Sunnyside has a specific character that people like you are destroying." By the time my vacation arrived, I was worn out from the ongoing skirmishes. I had carefully prepared my house before departing, programming light timers, scheduling lawn maintenance, and even asking Tom to park in my driveway now and then to give the appearance of occupancy. I had followed protocol to the letter, yet Karen had apparently discovered her ultimate weapon against me. As I hurriedly booked an earlier return flight from Hawaii, Tom forwarded photos of the violation notices Karen had taped across my front door. There were HOA penalties amounting to more than $1,000 for recurring noise disturbances, an official city citation for disturbing the peace, and a menacing letter warning of potential eviction actions if the parties persisted. When I eventually arrived home, exhausted from travel and seething with anger, the very first thing I did was review my security system. I had set up doorbell cameras and interior motion detectors shortly after settling in, partly due to stories of Karen's uninvited inspections of absent neighbors' properties. I hadn't told a soul about these precautions. If Karen had been scheming something sinister, I was on the verge of uncovering it. I devoted the next several hours to scrutinizing the footage from the previous week. What I discovered left me utterly speechless. The house remained entirely vacant, exactly as it was supposed to be. No parties, no disturbances, absolutely nothing out of place. But then, on the third night of my vacation, at exactly 1:30 in the morning, there she appeared, Karen herself, creeping along the side of my house, dressed in dark clothing. The video unmistakably captured her placing a portable Bluetooth speaker behind my air conditioning unit. She activated it. The timestamp read 1:45 a.m. and then proceeded to the end of my driveway. She retrieved her phone, and shortly afterward, a police cruiser pulled up. Karen theatrically gestured toward my house, waving her arms dramatically as the perplexed officer acknowledged her. The timestamp for that exchange, 1:52 am. She had dialed 911 a mere 7 minutes after positioning the speaker. My hands trembled as I fast-forwarded through the recordings. She had repeated this exact routine on 3 separate nights, positioning the speaker, summoning the police, and gathering proof for her personal HOA crusade. On the final occasion, she had even recruited 2 fellow HOA board members to observe the alleged commotion. This had escalated far beyond mere pettiness. It was outright criminal, submitting false police reports, trespassing, and even breaking and entering. Since she had unlatched my backyard gate despite a prominent "no trespassing" sign, I promptly duplicated all the video files. Then I contacted the police department asking to speak with the sergeant. "I'd like to report a crime," I stated evenly, "and I have irrefutable video evidence." The following morning, I strode into the emergency HOA board meeting that Karen had hastily organized to address my purported ongoing noise violations. I remained silent as she elaborated on my alleged transgressions, my blatant disregard for community standards, and her proposal for the harshest penalties, plus potential lawsuits. When she concluded her tirade, I rose to my feet. "I'd like to share some evidence of my own," I announced, linking my laptop to the meeting room projector. The room grew hushed as I played the clips of Karen installing the speaker, contacting the authorities, and later retrieving it. "As you can clearly see," I clarified to the astonished board members, "I was in Hawaii throughout all these fabricated noise incidents. The sole source of any sound was the speaker that Karen personally placed on my property. She trespassed 3 distinct times and submitted false police reports, as verified by the timestamps. The blood drained from Karen's face. That's not what it looks like," she stuttered. "I was merely investigating complaints from other neighbors." But no one was persuaded. The board members murmured among themselves, their faces transitioning from bewilderment to outright fury. The HOA vice president cleared his throat. "Karen, I believe you should wait outside while we deliberate on this issue." Karen's consequences extended well beyond the HOA board's disapproval. 2 police officers were stationed in the hallway when she exited the meeting room. I had submitted a formal complaint, and upon examining my footage, they possessed sufficient probable cause to detain her immediately. The charges: 3 counts of filing false police reports, 3 counts of trespassing, and 1 count of breaking and entering. The expression on Karen's face as the handcuffs clicked shut is etched in my memory forever. Pure disbelief that her schemes had finally backfired. "This is absurd," she yelled, as the officers escorted her out. "Do you realize how much I've sacrificed for this community? This man is eroding our neighborhood's integrity." 2 weeks later, I sat in the courtroom as the judge handed down Karen's punishment: a $5,000 fine, 80 hours of community service, and 1 year of probation. She was further ordered to reimburse all my HOA penalties and cover the expenses of my rushed flight home, an additional $3,000. The judge expressed particular disdain for her abuse of authority in targeting a resident. But true retribution arrived when the surviving HOA board members voted without dissent, oust Karen from her presidency, and prohibit her from any future board involvement. Evidently, my situation had unleashed a wave of revelations. 7 additional homeowners stepped forward with their own accounts of Karen's intimidation, though none matched the severity of fabricating evidence and involving law enforcement. "How dare you?" Karen snarled at me outside the courtroom, her impeccably manicured nails clutching her designer handbag. I was safeguarding our property values. "You have no clue what you've unleashed." Her voice faltered as she continued, "I've been fired from my real estate position because of this. My reputation is destroyed." I simply smiled and walked away.